time ago, in a galaxy far, far away.
So this is the spoiler review for Ahsoka Episode 7. It had a great cameo in the beginning, which I'm going to describe shortly. My overall impression is it's a very good episode. They're always too short to me. But I think if you can get it in physical, a copy, it'll feel like a movie. So anyway, the prologue is Hera Syndulla being questioned at kind of a trial by the Chancellor of the New Republic, Mon Mothma, and some senators. And she's getting basically kicked around by Hamato Ziono, a senator who's connected to the sequel trilogy and Resistance, and apparently he's Kaz's father, that goofy-ass pilot from Resistance. We could never actually have a white man be Kaz, because diversity. Anyway, I want to say that this guy's an asshole. All right, and he's pulling some shit that I have to believe is connected to protecting the Imperial Remnant. All right. So they're going back and forth, and C-3PO shows up. Mon Mothma lets him speak. C-3PO is the cameo for Leia. And basically Leia says, I gave permission for General Syndulla to go do this, blah, blah, blah. And what Syndulla did, and she admits to, is that yes, she gave me permission eventually. Okay. Leia being Leia would be used to people just going off and doing whatever they want because of who she's married to. Okay. Hera Syndulla is actually a bit like Han Solo in this, where it's easier to ask forgiveness than permission, okay? Which is something that a maverick or an independent mind, somebody who thinks out of the box, a critical thinker, often does, okay? And basically, Mon Mothma asks Ziono, do you have anything else to say, Mr. Imperial supporter? And he's like, no, not really. So it's it. So this cameo in the very beginning, in the introduction, is pretty much convincing that Leia Organa Solo is on her way to Ahsoka somewhere, which means Han is not far behind. And that's where it started. So we go into the opening credits. We find Ahsoka in the Fulcrum practicing and working on her form with a hologram message from Anakin that she'd saved. It's the last one she says to Hu Yang. And he's walking around her talking about everything. And it's a very powerful moment, because you suddenly realize Anakin Skywalker hasn't really gone anywhere, even if he is a hologram. We saw him fully realized as, I'm going to say it, the replacement for the father, fully realized there, and balancing as the balance of the Force. Okay, so Anakin's basically giving her a pep talk as she practices. And this is kind of a cool thing. So she goes She stops, she goes and sits down in the pilot's seat. Hu Yang says, the whales are starting to slow down. I think we're there. And Hu Yang says, he's like, we don't know where they're leaving us. They could be leaving us just out in the open. We don't know where we are, blah, blah, blah. And he's right. But Ahsoka kind of has a thing with the whale, the big whale that's got them. And she's perfectly happy to allow the big whale to drop them off where he knows they were going. Okay? All right, because Peridia is pretty much the last pit stop for the whales. In fact, the rings around Peridia are whale bones. They go there to die. It's a graveyard. Okay. And they come out of hyperspace. They're still in the whale. And stuff starts to happen. Thrawn has the fighters from the Chimera going after them in what he says, go, she's still in the graveyard, go look for her. And so they are. Thrawn is very capable of just leaving everybody behind and going off and leaving Peridia on his own with Morgan Elspeth and the big hyperdrive, the Eye of Sion. Okay, and that is basically his plan the whole time. So he sends Baylan and Shin after Sabine and Ezra and watches the fight. He wants, basically, again, like I said, from episode 6, what he wants to do is to leave them behind or kill all of them, including Shin and her master. And I think Baylan knows that. I don't think Shin realizes it, but I think Baylan is there for a completely different reason. Okay, Baylan is there for a completely different reason. He's there because he's got his own designs. Okay, so they take off on howlers. And they're, as we saw, and they're going across, and he sends Shin to catch up to Ezra, and for some reason he stays behind. And what happens is he falls under attack from Ahsoka. Ahsoka sees him. Ahsoka has Hu Yang land, or give her a chance to get on the ground, and poof, they're in a fight. And we have a pretty damn good lightsaber duel going on. You see Ahsoka, she's dressed in white now, not gray. Baylan's like, I'm surprised to see you here. And they get on with it. And it's really quite cool to watch this fight. And then as they go on, Hu Yang shows up. He's being pursued by Thrawn's fighters. He blows up stuff around them. Ahsoka disappears and takes off on Baylan's howler. And I want to say this. I want a howler. Those are the coolest things that you could ever imagine. I think they're cooler than Ewoks. They're up there with Wookiees cool. And they all remind me of Kojak. They all remind me of my dog. They're big, goofy guys, and they're hilarious. They're not pretty, but they're like big horsey dogs. I love them.
I was at the movies.
You are unwise to lower your defenses.
So Sabine and Ezra get reacquainted as they're moving Ezra's friend's camp. And he asks about Ahsoka. She doesn't really answer. As you notice, he's wearing Stormtrooper's dog tag chainmail. And obviously he's been killing Thrawn's Stormtroopers. And I'm going to say this. I thought those Stormtroopers were an army of the dead. They're not. They're actually Stormtroopers. So they get attacked by Shin and the rest of the mercenaries that were brought along to hunt Ezra and Sabine. And they actually do a pretty outstanding job, okay? And it's pretty cool to see. Ezra, he doesn't take his lightsaber back, but he's using Force Push to basically, as a weapon, to keep them away from him. He tackles Stormtroopers, gets their weapons away, shoots one, shoots another. It's a pretty cool fight. And I know a lot of people will be upset that they let him do this, so he should have a lightsaber. And we're crying about it. It's kind of like when Vader basically was making fun of Reva without having his lightsaber out. He was just abusing her. That's what Ezra's doing here. He's basically, without a weapon, using his Force abilities to lay waste to Stormtroopers. Okay, and this. I think it's really kind of cool. Sabine, of course, takes out Ezra's lightsaber and starts using it, and then Shin Hati shows up, and here we go with the picture. Shin basically being held back by Ezra until Sabine can get away, and then they both basically have Shin cornered, and then Shin picks up Ezra by using the Force and throws him up against one of those vehicles, knocks him out, and starts to fight again. In the end, Ahsoka shows up. She catches up to them on Balin's Howler, and Thrawn sees that it's all over. But let's talk about his reunion with Ahsoka. So Ezra gets reacquainted with Ahsoka. They hug, and that's where we see the last one. That's the very last scene. Thrawn realizes Balin disappeared. He walked away. That's what I'm going to talk about. And says, the losses are acceptable. We're leaving. He's going to take the Chimera to the Eye of Sion, and they're going to take off and go into hyperspace and get back to the galaxy we all know and love. And I think next week we're probably going to see Leia in a cameo. We may see Han, and we may see Luke. I just think that we're going to see the three of them. So let's talk about Balin. At the end, he's standing there. He looks down, and he looks back to where the way Ahsoka went. Turns around, and walks away. What's he doing? He's leaving his apprentice, Shin. He's walking away from a fight. He realizes that Ahsoka lived somehow, and she's different now. What's he doing? Remember what he said about there's something speaking to me, there's something out there calling to me? I don't know what it is. It could be a dark Jedi, but since he is a fallen Jedi, we've got that covered. Some people think it's Aboleth, but if they go against canon, it would be Aboleth. It could be the son of Mortis. It could be something completely different. But whatever is happening on that planet, it's going to end up going in the hyperspace route to the galaxy we all know and love, and that's the bigger problem than Thrawn. I think what's going to happen here is Thrawn and the the three witches of Dathomir, the mothers, are probably going to have to ally themselves with the New Republic to stop whatever it is coming. Okay. This is bigger than Thrawn. Okay. And I'm going to explain, I don't look at Thrawn as being a villain. He's like Rommel. He's an antagonist. Okay. He's a mean, cold, callous bastard, right? But he is not the Emperor. The Emperor is a villain. Vader turns out to be an antagonist. Okay, fallen Jedi, Anakin Skywalker turns into an antagonist. Okay, there's a big difference. So I think we're going to be back in the galaxy, but we've got to figure out how to get Ahsoka, Sabine, Ezra, Huyang, Shen, and Baylan back into the galaxy too. Okay, and one more thing, I think those names written on Baylan's wrist device are not a hit list. They were an Easter egg saying that the three heroes are coming. And I think maybe even Ben Kenobi as a ghost. I really don't think, now I'm probably wrong, it could very well allude to, Muleface, but I don't think so. Okay, so just want you guys to buckle up and get ready. This was really, really good. Probably one of the best episodes of live action Star Wars I've seen in a long time. This is Steph signing out. I'll see you around the galaxy.